Hire Butterfly Fly is a beauty salon employing the friendliest hairdressers under the command of the sweet and charming Nichelle. This applies to everyone except GM, a gray and moody girl with long bangs hiding her eyes. The inexperienced trainee behaves extremely strangely, scaring off most clients who think she has experienced some kind of grief. Nichelle does not want to lose money and clients, so she tells the girl about the 3 rules of working in a beauty salon. The third and equally important requirement is to greet people with a smile. Trying to learn the lesson, GM learns to smile and studies special courses, but does extremely poorly. Her smile frightens her colleagues, who assume something has happened to her or that she is in pain. When she learns that her colleagues distrust her because of her long bangs hiding her eyes, GM decides to shorten them, but does so in an extremely unprofessional manner. Quansu is considered the best stylist in the barbershop and is a very kind, albeit secretive man. Seeing that GM is suffering and unable to change her appearance properly, he helps change the girl's hairstyle and opens her eyes, making her not only more open but also more beautiful. Soon, the next clients appear in the barbershop, 3 older rock musicians who never became popular. The barbers remember that, according to the second rule, they are not allowed to laugh at the client, but not everyone succeeds. Upon returning home, GM uses a mannequin and trains hard to become a good professional. As she studies the strengths of her colleagues, she realizes she will never compare to Quansu or Jet. After receiving advice to look people in the eye, GM begins to use this technique, but many customers are frightened by her behavior because she does it as if she were some kind of maniac. In the evening, after work, colleagues go to a cafe and feel uncomfortable as they have to take off their shoes and their feet stick badly. Jin quarrels with one of the customers of the cafe because she does not like the reasoning that a person cannot dream and try to achieve something more. After the cafe, GM sees her colleague off and finds out that she lives in an old and shabby dormitory. The next day, GM decides to sing in front of an audience but is too nervous. After learning about the last concert of an aging rock band, the girl goes to meet them and persuades Mu to accompany her. GM enjoys the songs of her favorite band, unlike her colleague who doesn't understand how anyone can like such music. Soon, GM realizes that there is no point in being afraid and becomes more open with the customers, trying to speak louder and smile to earn their trust and attention. As GM continues to work at the beauty salon, she constantly listens to Nichelle's advice and learns to be polite to her customers. The beauty salon owner is professional and knows how to offer services to increase her earnings. The modest GM is only taking her first steps and is often afraid to start a conversation with a client, but realizes that this is part of her profession that she should get used to. During her lunch break, GM leaves the beauty salon and meets 3 men who introduce themselves as Mu's best friends. A few minutes later, she notices the barber running away from them, and it turns out that these men decided to punish him for being a womanizer who dates girls who are in relationships. Because of the trouble, Mu goes into hiding and doesn't return to work, causing the other barbers to work twice as hard. In the evening, everyone rushes home to rest, and only GM continues to train on a mannequin, trying to become a good specialist. At night, Mu returns to the beauty parlor and admits that he did not do well, but could not come earlier for fear of being beaten. A little later, GM gets a call from her mom who hands her a package. The girl does not want to eat the food her parents handed her, so she gives the container to one of her neighbors. In the morning, Nichelle scolds Mu because of the situation that has arisen, but cannot fire him since she appreciates the guy as a specialist. Soon, Sun, a national team soccer player, appears in the beauty salon and wants to meet Mu. The hairdresser carefully avoids meeting Sun, and everyone assumes it is again connected with a girl. In the evening, Mu and GM fight as the guy does not appreciate the work as much as the girl who dreams of becoming a good stylist. Meeting Sun again, GM defends her work and learns about the purpose of the soccer player's visit. As it turns out, he was a friend of Mu's and really wants to meet him to talk. The 2 of them used to play soccer together, but Mu was badly injured and went into hairdressing, having just fallen in love with a girl attending a stylist course. Jin interferes in the communication between Mu and GM, trying to reconcile them. To do this, Jin advises GM to cut the guy's hair and talk to him. GM is a novice trainee and has never cut people's hair, only practicing on a mannequin. While trying to serve her first customer, she makes a mistake and messes up Mu's hair. Fixing the situation, she gives him a short and horrible haircut that neither Jin nor Quansu can fix. The next morning, Nichelle and her subordinates continue to please the customers. They not only cut their hair and distract them with pleasant conversation, but also make personal cards specifying all the wishes of the client, so that next time they leave the beauty salon as satisfied as possible with their services. A couple of days later, Suri invites GM with her to the store to buy clothes. When Suri chooses an inappropriate dress, GM is afraid to tell her, causing her colleague to take offense and not want to talk to her again. While continuing to learn how to work in a beauty salon, GM notices that each stylist has a unique mirror. Jin uses a lamp to make a person appear beautiful. Nichelle uses several light sources to create emphasis on the hair. And Quansu uses a regular mirror to make people see themselves as they are. Upon meeting another customer, Quansu insults her because of her age, causing the woman to cry. But the other beauty parlor workers calm and support her. Nichelle asks the customer to move to her mirror, where the woman becomes beautiful. After seeing this, GM wants to understand what version of her beauty the people around her see. The job of a stylist is extremely difficult because the masters have to recognize and hide the flaws of their clients. Jin and Nichelle work hard at it, but Quansu makes his clients worry about their problems and put up with them. When he sees a woman with a large forehead, he cuts her hair in the weirdest possible way, which makes her nervous and worried about her appearance. Soon, the hairdressers panic and look for a place to hide as a 6-year-old child is heading towards them. Children are the worst as they tell the truth to everyone, calling people old, fat, and ugly. The boy disappoints visitors and hairdressers because he unknowingly insults them and makes them feel self-conscious about their appearance and its shortcomings. In the evening, everyone goes to their favorite cafe, and Jin quarrels with Suri because of her desire to be kind to people. Upon returning home, they each look at themselves in the mirror and look for flaws, but Quansu is the only one who thinks he is perfect. Jin has a hard time convincing a client to change his hair color to red, believing it will be much better for him. In the evening, GM and the rest of the trainee assistants learn how to cut hair on mannequins. GM and Mu help each other, and Suri is visited by a friend for whom she feels sympathy. The only lonely trainee is Teacher Wu, who has no one but a mannequin. Suri's younger sister notices her with a young and handsome guy and decides to get to know him better. The woman who was cut by Quansu remains satisfied, but Jin's client forces her to recolor him. He is pleased with the job, and his friends appreciate his style, but the man is colorblind and doesn't realize his hair is red. Admitting failure, Jin changes the client's hair color while Quansu's crazy client asks for an even weirder hairstyle than ever before. In the evening, Suri and her friend head to a bar, but her younger sister finds them there. Suri is too kind and can't fight with her sister, but she doesn't want her to take away the guy she likes. The next morning, Suri decides not to give up the ugly dress, but to buy a mirror that makes her look better so that she can strive for that in reality as well. 3 months ago, Nichelle, Quansu, and Jin were 3 of the most famous stylists who didn't know each other. Having found a suitable space, Nichelle rented it to open a beauty salon. Since there wasn't enough money, she offered Quansu a joint business, and he immediately agreed to a contract with her. Soon, it became known that their third stylist would be the bright and emotional Jin, which shocked the man. Quansu absolutely did not want to work with her and tried to leave, but the terms of the contract obliged him to put up with Jin's work in the beauty salon. Even 3 months before that day, Nichelle had worked as an ordinary hairdresser in a modest beauty parlor. It seemed like she would never succeed until a horrible client came to her with messy hair. Everyone else was scared and hid, leaving Nichelle to fend for herself. She decided not to give up and accepted the challenge, resulting in giving the woman a beautiful haircut. Instead of money, the client left her a lottery ticket and ran away. Nichelle was upset and thought the client turned out to be a fraud, but soon she realized that the ticket was the winning ticket and was able to get the money to open her own beauty salon. After agreeing that each stylist would have an assistant, they began interviewing. Quansu and Jin fought a lot, so they decided to hire people by majority vote. As a result, they took the fat and no-good Suri after seeing tears in her eyes and the modest GM, whom Jin saw hiding behind a pole during the day. The third assistant turned out to be the not-so-young Teacher Wu, who helped Nichelle with everything and also initiated the hiring process for the name butterfly fly. Getting started was challenging due to the lack of clients. Nichelle and Jin were able to invite friends, but Quansu had no one. Realizing that the man paid his salary out of his own pocket, Bam, who was his fan, decided to help the stylist by handing out flyers. One day, she was helped by Mu but ran away from him, assuming that he would demand money for his services. It soon became clear that he was the son of Michelle's friend and would be the fourth in turn. Quansu had her first clients thanks to Bam. In the present, Bam met a man from the same village, showing interest in the girl and asking her out on a date. Bam wanted to refuse, but her colleagues persuaded her to change her mind. Mu deemed her incapable of impressing the man, but the coworkers argued with him, making a bet that he would cut his hair if Bam was asked out on a second date. Nichelle, Jin, and Quansu made sure she was as beautiful as possible. Quansu changed her hair and drove her to the meeting place. Despite her best efforts, it turned out that the man had invited Bam to meet some friends, which she also had to pay for. Having dropped her phone in the toilet, she was unable to call anyone and lost her last money. Trying to find help and support, she called Mu from a pay phone to find her in the city and lend her money as she was lost. After drinking too much, Bam confessed her love to Mu, but he rejected her. At the same time, Quansu hurt his back and called Jin for help. The couple got into an awkward situation, causing Quansu and Jin to feel sympathy for each other. The next morning, Bam was nervous that Mu would talk about her failed date and how he rejected her, but he kept his mouth shut. Soon, a customer came in with her hair tangled in a foot massage device. At the same time, Jin was visited by a distressed girl who had a fight with her husband and decided to make a drastic image change. Jin gave her a short hairstyle, but in the evening, a rich man came and made a scandal because of it. Seeing that Jin took it to heart and could hardly hold back her tears, Quansu decided to give her a ride home, and Bam confessed her feelings to Mu again, saying it was love at first sight. Stylists and their assistants hate it when friends, relatives, or acquaintances come to their beauty salon. They often reveal secrets and embarrass the stylists with unpleasant memories. In addition, relatives and friends expect discounts, which is a loss. Quansu is a professional in his work, never showing his emotions. This was the case until a charming girl, who turned out to be his ex, showed up at the beauty parlor. Bam is also used to being calm and reserved, but that was only until her mother arrived. The woman is loud and strange, attracting everyone's attention and intruding where she is not asked. She tries to take care of her daughter's collective and brings them food, but Bam is uncomfortable with what's going on. After staying for a couple of days, her mother asks Bam to let her sleep over and goes to sleep next to her. Meanwhile, Jin supports Quansu as he cries and drinks because his ex-girlfriend betrayed him and hurt him, making him nervous when he meets her. The next morning, Bam is admitted to the hospital with stomach pain caused by a hunger strike. Mu and other coworkers take care of her and buy food so she won't deny herself anything. Mu realizes he is beginning to have feelings for her but is afraid to admit it prematurely. Quansu rejects his ex, which is Jin, who has feelings for him. At the same time, it turns out that the woman who came to see Bam is her stepmother. Talking to Mu, Bam changes her attitude toward her and calls her mom for the first time. Sui can't understand what's going on with her personal life as she has been in love for 5 years with a guy who considers her just a friend. When she first met him, she dreamed of confessing her love but decided to lose weight. Trying to do this, she only gained weight and began to suffer from complexes that did not allow her to reveal her feelings. Now this guy started dating her sister, and Sui is forced to watch the couple while pretending to be a friend. Bam is in a similar state because Mu admitted that he does not hate her but is afraid to talk about his feelings. The guy constantly takes care of Bam, taking her to the hospital, holding her hand, and buying food. Sui and her sister keep giving themselves away from each other, resulting in a quarrel, and Bam decides to live separately. Bam goes crazy over her liking for Mu, paying attention to any hints and signs, trying to figure out if it's mutual. Not understanding the guy's feelings, Bam turns to Jin for advice. Despite her attempts to hide personal information, Jin realizes it's about Bam and Mu. The pretty girl talks about a difficult situation in her personal relationship and asks for advice from her colleagues, putting Mu in an awkward position. He indirectly admits that he's undecided about his feelings and runs away to avoid embarrassment. In the evening, Nichelle, Jin, Bam, and Sui go to a nightclub to meet men. Mu is jealous and offers to follow them, but instead has to play his grandfather's board games with Quansu and teacher Wu. The girls drink and dream of meeting men, but no one pays attention to them. They look for flaws in their looks, not realizing they just had to press the green button to be introduced. Afraid to tell of this shame, they agree to keep it a secret that no one contacted them. Bam has to ignore Mu's messages so as not to expose the deception to her coworkers. Sui realizes that the guy she has a crush on can only be a friend, so she invites her sister to the beauty salon to make up. Mu finally confesses his sympathy to Bam and suggests dating. In the morning, she can't believe her happiness and assumes it was a dream, but the guy takes her hand, confirming his liking. The next morning, schoolgirls show up at the beauty salon asking for a colorful hairstyle. Their behavior embarrasses the older generation because they have never been like these schoolgirls. Mu and Bam are having relationship problems because Bam is too modest and uptight. After learning that children are moving into the adult stage of relationships too early, Nichelle worries about her daughter's relationship. Running away from work, she controls her youngest daughter and won't let her be alone with the boy. She decides to enroll her daughter in ballet to have less free time. Gathering at a cafe, the coworkers discuss each other's intimate lives and experiences. At one point, Bam asks when it's normal to move on to a new stage of a relationship, which confuses Mu and everyone present. Jin gives advice, but Quansu takes notice, believing that Bam is in love with Youngo. The next morning, a schoolgirl's mother forces her to change her hair, or she will be kicked out of the house. Jin helps resolve the conflict while Nichelle gets into trouble with her daughters. Both complain to their fathers. Moreover, the eldest wants to start living separately, which greatly bothers Nichelle. Soon, Nichelle manages to establish communication with her younger daughter, who liked ballet, and makes peace with her older daughter, still dreaming of an independent life. Going to the movie theater, Bam wants to take Mu by the hand, but does not dare throughout the movie. After escorting her home, Mu suggests they should not be afraid of feelings and act mutually, realizing that they both want it. The couple kisses passionately. Meanwhile, Jin notices a man she tries to run away from and falls down the stairs, injuring her leg. A while later, someone starts leaving angry comments on the beauty salon's website, ruining its image. Nichelle assumes it's the work of competitors, but they have nothing to do with it. Jin ends up in the hospital with a leg injury, but is soon released, and Quansu takes care of her, continuing to take an unobtrusive interest in her. A couple of days later, angry graffiti is left on the glass of the beauty salon, informing them they have a bad man working for them. When the police arrive, Mu claims it's all his fault and is sent to the station. Soon, the rest of his coworkers turn their backs on him, believing their reputation will suffer because of the young guy. Assuming that the person who wrote the insults is a victim of bullying, Mu decides to quit the soccer team where he insulted freshmen and juniors. Having no other choice, and perhaps as a consequence of this, he starts working in a warehouse and breaks up with Bam, who rejected him because of his bad deeds in the past. Soon, the very man from whom Jin was running away appears in the beauty salon. It turns out to be her uncle, who was very bad and showed an unhealthy interest in her when she was younger. Jin was very afraid of him, and the uncle was the result of psychological trauma that caused her to wear a lot of makeup. Becoming his hairdresser, Jin would like to take the man's life, but she realizes she is not capable of the crime and overcomes her fear. Soon, it turns out that the bully who soiled the beauty salon's glass was not the victim of bullying but Mu's former clubmate. He is arrested, so Mu returns to the beauty parlor as an intern. Gib and cleans the glass while Mu stays after work to finish what he started, trying to clean up not only the glass, but also the reputation of the beauty salon. A few days later, a real storm hits, causing the salon to have no customers. Realizing it can be considered a day off, Nichelle decides to cook something delicious for her subordinates. Soon, a new visitor appears who wants to radically change her appearance to look like Snow White from the fairy tale. Immediately afterward, Teacher Wu notices the woman is very sad and writes a message sharing her desire to get even with her life. Gibbon, Sui, Jin, and Nichelle turn into real sleuths to understand her motives and reasons. They study her and remember how she came before, but can't find anything suspicious. Stylists often hear clients' secrets, but react as if they heard nothing. Now, the situation is different because the girls want to help the client and save her life. Soon, Gam, Nichelle, and Sway realize that they, too, had thoughts of settling the score with life, and it is normal for every person. Jin recalls that she tried to take her own life after what her uncle did to her, but a doctor saved her. Moo, like the rest of us, had bad days but managed to get through them. In an attempt to show support, he advises her not to do anything stupid in such terrible weather, believing it is easiest to lose one's life in the spring when everyone is happy. After everyone has tried to cheer up the woman, Quansu decides to do so as well. He dreams of appearing like a romantic prince, but is more like a dog caught in a heavy downpour. So another attempt to cheer her up fails. Jin helps the woman become beautiful, and Jiban can't stand it and hugs her, creating an even more awkward situation. Teacher Wu becomes the last person to show support, but the woman doesn't get any easier. After realizing how precious life is, the beauty salon workers return home to spend time with their loved ones. The next night, a criminal breaks into the beauty parlor and attacks Teacher Wu, stabbing him in the stomach with scissors. The police arrive and interrogate the employees, and Mu pursues the criminal but cannot catch him. No one can believe the victim should have been Teacher Wu because he is very kind and sweet, unable to offend anyone. Based on this logic, the others review their options and remember if they have offended anyone lately. Gibbon and Mu are shy about their relationship, so they don't hold hands or kiss at work. The next day, Sway and Nichelle visit the hospital to check on Teacher Wu and learn his terrible secret. He has genital difficulties that occurred at birth, making him somewhat of a man and a woman, but the doctors put him in the women's ward. Soon, all his colleagues find out about this and have mixed reactions. Quansu is the only one who realized it, but didn't think it was a secret to others. Teacher Wu returns to work, and the others support him. The criminal turns out to be his younger, devout brother who considers Teacher Wu's birth a crime. His parents have turned their backs on the man with female organs, so he feels lonely. At the same time, the stylist helps change the external image of the husband of the flower store owner next door. He scares even the bandits, but thanks to Jin's efforts, the man becomes more sweet and pleasant. A client about to get married comes to the beauty parlor. She doesn't know if she should tell her future husband about her former relationship, and Nichelle advises her not to. At the same time, all the employees wonder if this is the right thing to do. Nichelle is still worried about her ex-husband and is jealous of him after learning he has a new girlfriend. Sway learns her sister has broken up with a guy she likes. At night, she imagines he asks her out on a date, but it's just a dream. Assuming that Jin likes Mu, Quantum prevents her from noticing the guy in Gibbs' arms. Jibum is very worried about Mu being a womanizer. He had tons of girls, and one of them comes to the beauty parlor. Noticing this, Jin shields Gib from Mu's ex-girlfriend, so they go have a fight. Mu doesn't want to fight either, so she lets Gib delete all the photos and girl numbers from his phone so she has no reason to be jealous. Later, the couple packs up the dinner table and makes up, and in the evening, they head to the outskirts of town so Jibum can see her birth mother. Jin and Quansu have dinner, during which it becomes clear that the man doesn't understand hints at all. Deciding to be open, Jin confesses she has liked him for a long time, and Quansu was the only one who had ever seen her without makeup. The next morning, colleagues notice Jin and Quansu's behavior has changed, guessing there is something between them. Their suspicions are not in vain because last night, Jin invited Quansu to her place, and they spent the night together. During dinner, Suri is once again heard about her weight. She knows she is fat and doesn't like herself because of it. All her life, she dreamed of losing weight and did everything for it but never got results. Jin has a complex character and often teases her assistant, believing she does it with good intentions. After insulting Suri again, she overreacts, resulting in the fat girl getting angry and pushing her around. Nichelle doesn't want to fire either of the girls, so she tries to fix the problem and get them to reconcile. In the evening, Suri and Jin apologize but not sincerely, causing the conflict to continue. Quansu and Jin start living together, afraid to tell their coworkers about their relationship. Their relationship seems complicated as Jin has a knack for finding an approach to people. while Quansu is too straightforward and doesn't understand hints, often being rude in his words and actions. At night, Quansu can't sleep and kicks Jin out of her apartment, which makes her rude to her customers. Sui goes on another diet and is rude to everyone around him, whether customers or his boss. Soon, Quansu is visited by a difficult client, inviting him and Jin to his wedding anniversary party. At the party, Quansu gets too embarrassed by the haircut pictures he has taken, so he goes home early. Jin resents Quansu for his actions, but he doesn't realize it. In the evening, he tries to talk to her, but the conversation ends in a quarrel because there is no understanding between them. Soon, Quansu and Jin are invited to the hospital to see their harmful client. It turns out he often changed his hair because he had cancer and knew he would soon go bald. A few days later, they attend their client's funeral. Quansu and Jin make up since the man couldn't sleep next to her but found a way out by buying another bed. Mu is bad at learning to be a stylist, which causes Jin to yell at him for not being able to be a worthy student and specialist in the future. He is worried because he received a summons and in a few weeks has to go to the army. Admitting this to Gam, he offers to go on a joint trip and spend the night together, but she is afraid because she has never had a man before. After consulting with Jin, she realizes she shouldn't rush into things as it could lead to problems. Jin is not objective in her advice as she is nervous due to constant bouts of nausea. Wary, she buys a pregnancy test and is delighted when it turns out negative. After learning pregnancy cannot be detected early on, Jin becomes anxious again and distances herself from Quansu, ignoring him completely. Soon, the man manages to ask her out on a date where Jin refuses alcohol and heavy food. A few minutes later, she becomes convinced she is not pregnant and tells Quansu, who becomes sad and leaves because he is offended by the fact that the girl hid her concerns. Moreover, he is ready to become a father despite his character and fear of responsibility. Having established a relationship with the man she loves, Jin changes her decision and advises Jaidun to go on a trip with her boyfriend. A couple of days later, she and Mu leave for another city, but the girl is still afraid to go to bed with him, so he reassures her nothing will happen without her consent. At the same time, the beauty parlor continues to receive clients, including a lonely old man learning to live without his deceased wife and a boy who has grown up after the birth of his younger sister. Soon, an apprentice Yer shows up at the beauty parlor to replace Mo. He quickly proves his usefulness as he is the only one who understands English and can serve a visiting American tourist. In the evening, the group gathers for a farewell party to see Mu off to the army. After working only 24 hours, Yan quits, believing he is too good for the job. Before leaving for the army, Mu decides to get a haircut, and Jian serves him as everyone else waits outside so as not to disturb the loving couple. The next morning, Mu leaves for the army, and Gib promises to wait for him. A few weeks later, she, his mother, and his younger brother go to the military unit to check on Mu. The couple goes for a walk and looks for a quiet place to kiss, but are constantly interrupted by children or priests. At the same time, the beauty salon holds an exam for trainees during which teacher Wu becomes a stylist and new assistants take his place. After going to the wish tree, Mu and Gib leave notes with dreams for the future. Quansu and Jin began to share each other's hopes. Sui stopped worrying about her age, and Gibbon and Mu became a happy couple.